Hi, welcome to this second video in the API series. In my previous video, I created an API model for the CPU. This is a field data case looking at the drag of particles based on an imported field. The API model gives a warning when starting. It's saying that the API version is out of date. It still runs okay, but it's best to always use the latest version, so this video goes through how to update the API version, especially useful for the GPU processing when we get to that in the next video. So we can see in the code in the get external force interface version, there's a versioning there. Some of the files and file types have a versioning associated with them as well. These files are the ones that are installed with EDEM, the header files that were referenced. So if we go to the EDEM installation source folder, for example in miscellaneous, we can see the helpers version is updated. In the core folder, we can see there's different versions of the files. External force types is version 3.4. And in the particle body force, the main physics component, we've got version 3.4 as well. So in our custom model, we need to make sure that we're using the latest version. So starting with the CPP file, the get external force interface, just make sure that we're telling EDEM that we're using the 3.4, the latest version of the API. Then we'll update our helpers file and all the files we reference there to use the latest version. And there's a few files here, so let's do a find replace. You can see we're actually updating a number of the comments here. These comments are saying that we're using the latest version, so we do need to make sure that that is correct. So we're in the plugin particle body force version 3.4, and that's all defined in this header file. So all the latest functions are listed in this file. If we go back to our custom header file, we can see that we define a few things like structure for the field parameters, strings for the GPU files, but we have some EDEM functions, get preference file name, for example. So let's check this in the plugin particle body force file. We can see how it's defined, and they match. So I have gone through these already, so they do all match with the exception of a couple. The starting function we can see is listed here. And if we go to the particle body force header, find the starting function, see there is a change here. There's a GUI path difference. So copy and paste the contents of the function in. And that function is used in our code as well. So let's make sure that we update this. And we should take note of any changes and any new functionality that we may want to add into our code as well. The external force, you can see initially there's some versioning here in the external force types. But let's go to the body force to get the latest version. You can see here version 3.4. Copy and paste these in. And the same again, we use this function, so let's make sure that we're using the latest version of this function. No other errors are apparent in that list. So let's go to the main component of our code. The starting function hasn't changed, hasn't impacted anything, but the external force function has changed a few definitions of our model. You can see here particle position, get X, Y, and Z needs to have a change in format. This is to match the GPU, so it'll make it easier once we convert our models to a GPU compatible code. We could do a find and replace for these for longer, more complicated models. The last thing to notice here, well, we're in the results, and it's showing that there's some issue, and it's saying there's a mismatch between the helpers version 3.0 and 3.4. So make sure that we're using the latest helpers function as well. So both the vectors now are version 3.4. So I'm reasonably confident that the model is going to work. Could run it in debug, but compiling the release version this time. Delete our original older file. Copy our release DLL. And we'll open and run our model and see if it's removed this warning. So you can see the simulation is running, no associated warnings. It's worth just spending a second to discuss what that warning was. It was related to the adding the force. If I just now do the results equal field force, this will essentially overwrite all previously calculated forces for the particles. So now in the API it calculates the particle-particle contacts, the particle geometry contacts, and now those results, those forces, are passed down the chain to the particle body force, which adds the field force to it. If I just did equals, it would overwrite the previously calculated forces. So the plus equals is important in this case. In my next video, I will outline how we can then convert this updated code to GPU format.